Berkshire Hathaway Home Services sales executives for our video message of the week. All right, we're still in this personal growth series. And today I have some questions for you that I'm going to ask to get your mindset going, I really need to give some thought around these questions. Now, every answer for these questions can be different for each one of you, but I really want you to give some thought, and I promise you it'll add insight for you and for you personally as well as your business. All right, let's get started. Do you tend to feel you know the answer when you're dealing with situations or circumstances? That you already know the answer? In fact, one clue for this is when you're talking, or I should say when you're communicating and someone else is talking, you're already thinking about the next thing you're going to say, because you know what? There's really no reason for me to listen because I already know the answer. Really something that will not serve you well. Listen, okay? Because guess what? When we feel we don't know the answer, we have to listen. And that's a powerful way to communicate, by not saying anything and listen to what the person's saying, take that in, and then communicate your next statement. Next, do you test your opinions using real results, or is it more of a justification of the opinions that you want everyone to go along with? This is a really key point. You know, sometimes we want to believe something because it's the way we view the world. But the reality of it is when we look at the actual results, it tells us something very different, or maybe something slightly different. Either way, you always want to take your opinions that you believe and look at the real results so you can say, you know what? I may not be 100% right on this. Maybe I'm partially right, okay? But guess what? I need to make some tweaks here because the facts are telling me something different. Do you tend to argue with the truth? Here's a rule of thumb for you. Every time you argue with the truth, you lose 100% of the time. You know, and I know we like to sometimes jump into this. Why? Because we don't like what the truth is telling us. You know, so we argue with it and we get tied up into that thought process. Here's a real simple system for that. Don't do that. Don't argue with the truth. Look at the truth and say, how do I need to adjust based on these truths and these facts? Do you feel and act like you have more to learn? See, if you ask a question to anybody and say, do you have more to learn or do you know everything? I bet you 100% of the people, okay, or let's say 99.999 would say, of course I have more to learn, of course. But the reality of it is, do they really feel and do they act like they have more to learn? A great example for you would be like as the business changes, are you changing with it? Let's talk about maybe a buyer's presentation or your listing presentation. Have you really adjusted based on the changes in the business? Or guess what? I've always done it this way. This is the way that I do it. And guess what? I know I'm right and there's really nothing to change because I don't have more to learn. Right? I really want you to step back from that thought process and go, wait a minute, if I need to learn more, then I need to go in search of, not only saying I need to learn more, but really acting like I need to learn more. Are you open to suggestions, just in a general sense? Doesn't mean you always agree with different suggestions, but again, we're talking about a mindset, a growth mindset versus a limiting mindset. Growth mindsets are at least open to listening to suggestions. And some you'll toss out, some you'll keep, some you'll take but adjust a little bit to make it work for you. But the concept here is at least you start off being open to those suggestions. Now this one I've talked about many times before is, but do you tend to take things personally? I'll just be real clear on this. As soon as you take a comment, a situation personally, you're done thinking in a productive manner. There's just no way you can think and come up with anything meaningful for you. So, way to do this, don't do that. Okay, don't take it personally. You take that stuff in, and if you disagree with it and say, you know what, that is just really not something that I feel I'm doing or that I need to adjust after evaluating it. One thing you got to remember, you can't control someone else's thought process. So if they're thinking in a way that you honestly don't feel needs an adjustment, great, take it. I mean, take it in and don't do any adjustment. If you need to tweak, that's a good point. I need to do something a little bit differently because I understand why they could feel the way they feel. All right? Don't own their feelings, but get yourself in a situation where you can take that information inside, work with it correctly and in a productive manner to make you the best you can be. Now here's a biggie. Does pressure tend to help you focus, or do you get frazzled with pressure? You know, many people work very well under pressure. In fact, as the pressure pot cooks up, they really get more on their game. Other people say, you know what, as the pressure cooker grows, they get frazzled. They get confused. Their mindset starts wavering. Okay? The way to fix this or deal with it is admit, you know what, I'm feeling the pressure. God, I'm feeling it on my shoulders. I'm feeling it in my neck. I'm flop sweating. If you're feeling that pressure, reach out to friends, leadership, and say, wait a minute, you know what? This is really stressing me out. I don't know why. I know it probably shouldn't. What advice do you have for me? Or can you give me any good info that will help me really work through this in my own mind? Because I will tell you, pressure in its own self, is it real? I know it's real to us, but here's how you know it's not real in the real world, is pressure tends to treat people differently, meaning what makes you feel under pressure may not make the person sitting next to you feel under pressure, and vice versa. The key with that is knowing that I know the pressure's real if I'm feeling that under pressure. Reaching out and talking about it, I have found, and I do believe, will help you reduce that because it gives you a helpful way to think through it. And certainly last but not least is, do you feel your clients work with you for you or work with you for them? What am I saying there is this. Do you feel your clients choose you because just they like you, or do you feel that they're choosing you because they feel you're in their best interest? I guess the key point here is the best relationships to have, and the ones that last and cause referrals, is when you have people choose to work with you because they truly believe. Okay, not only they may consider you a friend or they may like you, they truly believe it's in their best interest to work with you. A lot to think about. Okay, this is growth mindset versus limiting mindset. And I promise you, if you give these questions just a little thought and internalize them, take them inside and think about them, not only will you help your business life, but you'll help your personal life. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.